Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
ChatGPT crossed 1 billion with a B, 1 billion searches a week recently. That's insane. That we've just never seen anything like that with traditional search. It's nuts. So, and then this is one final thing I want to share before your next question is because this for me was really, really eye-opening. It took my breath away.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, and I'm going to announce it again. This is part 2 of our show on AI. But, I've interviewed over 1,000 people, incredible stories like today of people educating, motivating, inspiring people. And I'm so excited. So don't forget to subscribe, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart, if you just do a quick search. And I want you to subscribe because I want you to share these stories out to others to make an impact. And if we do more of that in this world, it's going to be a much better world. So that being said, let's do our gratitude. Speaking of impact, here's our gratitude for today. You're capable of such great things. I think you're awesome. Everybody's been great. And great doesn't have to be Tom Brady in the NFL or Messi with soccer or Elon Musk with money. Great is what you make of it and how many people you serve. So with that being said, let's bring our guest on. Matt, welcome back to part 2.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. You're such a fun host, and I just love your heart and your personality and the fact that you're motivated to do what God created us for, which is have a superpower and use it to bless other people. That's the DNA of your whole show and your business. And it's just fun to talk about doing what we love to help other people be successful, which is what I've always been passionate about.
I love that you said that because audience and Matt, what I've learned is I call money abundance now. It has a much softer tone to it. You say, I've made a lot of money. Oh, is the ego? I'm not. I told you what I did with my community. I do every month. I give back. But abundance is I've got a lot to give, like my show, to bring you on. And let's talk about, we talked about before the show for about 10 minutes, AI, marketing, SEO, all that. It's changed dramatically. How much has it changed?
Oh, it's crazy to me what is going on. So for 31 years, I have been in the business of helping companies, helping individuals, but helping companies really promote themselves online. And for a very, very long time, if you had a website, it was professional, it looked good, it had a good sales message, had valuable content, and you were getting traffic to it from traditional search, like Google, basically. Bing is another example. But people go to the search engine, they type what it is they're looking for. Hopefully, you're doing your job well. You come up on the first half of the first page of results because nobody goes to page 2. They have a list of blue links. They click on whichever one speaks to them, and then that person gets the business. And so for 25 years, 26 years, that's been the formula. But here's the thing. AI came out and it changed the game. And it didn't just change websites. It changed every aspect of human life. At this point, AI is finding its way into everything. It's finding its way into entertainment and how Hulu and Disney Plus and Netflix, all these things, how they decide, well, what do I think this person would like based on what they watched before? And so it's in our smartphones, it's in our devices, it's in our homes, and it's affecting business because it's dramatically changing. It used to be that AI was kind of a fascinating distraction and kind of a something fun to play with because it wasn't very good. Well, in a very short period of time, it has just evolved dramatically. And so just to kind of paint a picture here, I've actually got some stats because I love stats. I'm a nerd. I love my research. I want to pull those up. I didn't get them memorized, but so in terms of replacing traditional search with AI, so in 2023, that was less than 3 years ago, about 25% of people would use AI as their primary search tool instead of traditional search. All right. In 2025, it was 58%. That's 2.3 times an increase in 2 years. That's insane. And 69% of Google searches ended with no clicks by mid 2025. Let me say it again. 69% of Google searches ended with no clicks by the middle of 2025. Now, let me explain why that's a big deal. Again, I'm a marketer. I'm a sales guy. I'm a marketer. I'm a web nerd. Used to be, you did a search, you got a list, you clicked on one or two things, and then those were the short list of prospective vendors. No click is like breaking the entire paradigm. So AI is amazing because it's a gift from God, and it's incredible what it can do. But basically, think of this. Think of a machine that has the processing power of multiple banks of supercomputers, okay? And its access to resources is the entirety of all human knowledge, which is literally what the case is. So all human knowledge has been curated and put online, which is everything we've ever published, we've ever known as a species, as a race of human beings, is online. These machines go and scour all of it. They curate it, they aggregate it, and then based on the signals that they're programmed to look for, which I'm going to get into some real specifics about this later because I love talking technical stuff, but making it make sense for normal humans, right? They make an informed decision and recommendation based on the information that's available. And so think of it like this. If you're looking for, let's say, the best kitchen remodeling company in your area, most people are gonna want an endorsement. And yes, they'll search, but they might ask a friend, hey, I really want to remodel my master bath. The house is 30 years old. It's looking dated. I want to kind of modernize that. Who do you know that might do that? Well, what the AI does is it acts like a human. It says, you asked for this. I want to be a good friend and I want to give you good answers. And so let me take the information and make a recommendation based on what is available as the good company, not just, hey, I have the contracting license and I've been in business for 5 years and all those things. No, what's your reputation? What's your online reviews look like? Is your act together professionally online with consistency across every place we have to look? If it's the same name, address, phone number, website, we're seeing consistency. Or does it look like you have multiple personality disorder because your Google business profile says this, your website says that, it's not the same. Your social media channels and Facebook and whatever is this. And it's like, I don't know which you is the right one. And so you're not even going to make the list. You're not going to make the cut. And they're going to recommend your competitor who does do all those things, not because of any other reason that AI is trying to genuinely be helpful. Right. And I think we got to keep that in mind. I think it's a lot of people have a tendency to get scared and freaked out. And there's multiple references to the Terminator that we've heard thrown around the last couple of years since AI has taken over everything. I don't see that ever happening, but there's a lot of trepidation and discomfort around things we don't understand. That's normal human nature. And we don't need to be afraid of it. We need to use it as the tool it is, but know how to use it to our advantage, not to game the system, but to have integrity, to do a good job and make sure we have the best chance because we are the best company. If we want to have integrity and serve people and do excellent work, so we keep getting referrals. Well, that's great with what you do, but how are we marketing ourselves? How are we using these tools so the AI knows about us because it's being given the information the right way in the right format and there's consistency. And if you think that it's just going to figure it out and get it right because you're not helping it out, because, well, we already have stuff, you're mistaken. I don't mean to be rude, but we need to control the narrative of our own brand, right? No one else is going to do it for us. And so it's dramatically changing just how consumers make decisions, how businesses even decide what makes sense to invest in terms of the R&D side of it, or new markets or new opportunities, new product lines. Chat GPT crossed 1 billion with a B, 1 billion searches a week recently. That's insane. That we've just never seen anything like that with traditional search. It's nuts. So, and then this is one final thing I want to share before your next question is because this for me was really, really eye-opening. It took my breath away. So traditional search, we still have a bunch of lists that we have to look through and think about. And based on what that listing says, we're instantly going to have a subconscious reaction of positive or negative to what we see. We're going to click on something, right? Maybe one, maybe two, maybe three, but it's a short list of options, like a menu. AI doesn't do that. AI says, here's your one recommendation. Your one. Because the people that are using, I understand, it's not that I'm going to let you do all my thinking for me. I'm going to use you as a resource to save time. I want to be efficient. I don't want to waste time. I don't want to spend 3 hours on this if I can spend 30 seconds and have you give me the answer. So human nature is the path of least resistance, right? Whatever's easiest and fastest and serves my needs is what I'm going to do every time. And so instead of fighting human nature, let's embrace it. But it makes one recommendation. Now, here's a crazy statistic. People that find a business or a solution or an answer to the question they're asking using AI convert at 5 times that of traditional search, 5 times. So that should send some alarm bells off for your listeners. Like, okay, so if it's a 500% better return on investment, don't we think it would make sense to be investing some of our ad spend and our marketing budget into that? Yeah, I think so. I don't know about you, but a 5 times better return, it just makes sense, right? Let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're making $1 million, 5 times return, that's $5 million. I think all of you there will be very happy with that. And I'm going to guess, and I like your time is money. We hear all the time. And if you're saving time, you're saving money. They go together, as brothers. It's a powerful tool. So as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about, you work with companies, but don't entrepreneurs and solo business owners have to worry about this too?
Oh, of course they do. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of companies that exist, but the face of the company is the person, right? So there's so many people, Russell Brunson, Alex Hormozi. Does he have a company? Yes, he does. Is it awesome? Yes, he does. But let's be honest. People buy from them because of him. So if you are the face of your company, the whole company, the whole business is around the orbit of your personality. You can't ignore this just because you're not a traditional business. And so it doesn't matter what type of situation we're talking about. If it's a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a Fortune 500, doesn't matter. If it's an individual or a company, you have to think like, and we talked about this last time, Steve, and I know I'm a little repetitive, but I find that it's important to just remind people of things. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And people buy based on the signals that they are hearing. And so again, you have to be aware of the fact that AI is going to recommend someone. And if you want that someone to be you, you have to be thinking about your dream customer. So I'm obsessed. I think I said this. I've been on so many podcasts. It's hard to remember who I said what with, but you have to be, and I have to be obsessed with my dream customer's dream customer. This is huge. So if I'm obsessed with my dream customer's dream customer, I'm going to be asking different questions. I'm going to be considering different points, and I'm going to be feeding AI based on that. So with your question, the solopreneur, the person that's the singular kind of face of the company, that's great. People aren't searching for Alex Hormozi. If they already know his name, it's because of a webinar they saw or an ad they saw or something. They've already been exposed to that culture and that community. But before that, it started with a query, right? It started with a question. What question did they have based on the problem they needed solved or the pain they needed to remediate? There was an issue that came to critical mass, and they're like, we have to solve this. We got to get we got to get past the comfort zone of the unknown and just solve this problem. So they started searching for something, and that something they were searching for had an answer over here. It just happened to be Alex Hormozi is the answer, or his brand, his solution is the answer. But again, it always goes back to people. So is AI an amazing resource? Is it an incredible technology? Absolutely, yes. And people are the point. People are the prize. People are the ones we're trying to serve. So if we think about it through the lens of that, it's going to inform our decision-making about how we approach what we do with our marketing, with our AI, strategy. It always goes back to the people. Who's your dream who? What do they need and want? And how can we be clearly represented as the best option?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned about the entrepreneurs and business, because they lose this a lot. Companies, Big companies know, medium, large size companies know, and it's a game changer for a solopreneur and a small business owner, because guess 100%. What? 5 times for them is much bigger than a 5 times. Well, it's not much better, but you can grow scale much faster. And that's what I work with entrepreneurs, how to scale. So this is great stuff. People listen, I know what they're thinking. Well, I shouldn't say, I think I know what they're thinking. Let's say it that way. What's my first step to make sure I don't miss out on the boat?
Oh, very, very good question. So I think I've pretty clearly established that this is not something that's going away, right? There's traditional SEO and AI is not replacing it. Traditional SEO, it has built the foundation that AI is built upon. So don't think it's either or, it's both and it's coexistence, not extinction. All right. So I think we've made the case for that. But here's the deal. You need to know how to work with AI so that you can put yourself in the best position to get those recommendations that people are searching. So I want to kind of get into kind of a 4-part framework for how do we do this. Before I do that, because I'm going to have to reference some technical terms, I'm going to quickly go through some vocabulary for people. All right. And these are things that probably people have heard, but they maybe don't understand it exactly. What is that? So let's cover kind of 4 key terms and then get into the strategy around how do we make sure that we are positioned to best come up in those queries as people are using their smartphones to search for things these days, often with their voice, talking, not even typing, right? So first one is LLM. That stands for large language model. So what is that? Well, essentially, it's the technology behind those AI assistants and tools like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Google or things like that, right? Not Google is the company that made Gemini. So it's the tech behind those assistants that basically spell out what it is that you're looking for and make that recommendation. And there's different models. There's this model and that model, and these programs all have newer, evolving, better, more efficient versions of the engine that drives the car. But the LLM is basically the technology framework, right? So that's important. And say LLM is often used interchangeably with ChatGPT or Gemini or things like that. The second one is SEO, and we've talked about that before, but search engine optimization simply is just getting lists on that list of blue links when you type a search on Google or Bing or whatever your search engine is, right? The next one is AEO. Now that stands for answer engine optimization. And essentially, as simply as I can put it, that just means getting picked up as the answer when someone asks an AI assistant any question, all right? Answer engine optimization, AEO. The fourth one is GEO, which stands for generative engine optimization. And that's basically the art and science of showing up inside those AI generated answers to questions, right? So generative engine optimization is kind of the AI equivalent as SEO, but making sure that you're producing enough content, feeding the machine, so to speak, what it needs to know about you, so that when the search comes up, you are the one being recommended instead of your competitor across town or across the street. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So now that we've got the fundamental vocabulary out there, I want to get into the framework. And so let's go through these. There's 4 parts to this. Okay. Number 1, understand how these things work. So it AI tools reads broadly, back to the what I said earlier of it has access to all human knowledge in existence. The internet is basically the curated source of all known human knowledge that's been put online, it's been published. Amazing. Well, it goes through, and in seconds, it reads all that information, and then it doesn't think or reason, it synthesizes. It's an aggregator, right? If you're old enough like me to remember this, many, many, many years ago, we used to have these things called libraries with these other things called books and the Dewey Decimal System. And if you wanted to find a particular topic, you'd go to the research librarian who was an expert in finding information and making sure to connect you with where that information lived in the library. So you'd say, I'm looking for information on this. They'd say, all right, great. Dewey Decimal 3.1.567. Second floor of the library, third row, and that's where you'll find it. Great. Well, AI does that in seconds. And so, but it doesn't just rank, unlike traditional search, right? Here's your list of 10, links on page 1 of 5,000 results. It reads many sources and it chooses one answer based on the aggregate information it has available that's the most consistent. We're going to get to that here in a minute. So like a well-read friend who's read everything about your trade in your town, hey, I need a plumber. Great, use these guys. Thank you. Calls them, gets the bid, gets the business, right? So now I've talked about that first framework, but we want to make this practical, Steve. I always make sure when I'm teaching, it's important to me that I make sure I don't just give information. Well, that's great. What do I do about it? How do I execute this? And that's critical. So for each of these 4 things, I'm going to explain the concept. we're going to talk about how do we execute, right? So what do we want to do? What's the takeaway action here? We want to make sure there is enough accurate information about you out there online that exists to be read in. All right. So invisible businesses that just don't have their ducks in a row with all these data points that these AI tools need, they're invisible. They don't exist. They're never going to get recommended. So we have to be aware that because of how it works, produce content, publish content, put things out there that is consistent and enough of it that we have a big enough body of research for our specific company, our brand, that they can find it, and then they are recommending it based on buyer intent and search parameters, right? Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is consistency across the web equals trust. This is a big one. You've got to be aware of the fact that if you have incongruency between different things, it's going to hurt you big time. So something in the marketing world that's been a big part of what we do with our traditional lead gen and search engine optimization work is it's called NAP, name, address, phone. It's citations. It's online listings. So there's hundreds and hundreds of websites whose whole purpose is to be like the electronic version of the phone book we used to have, right? So make sure you have the same name, services list, physical address for your business, phone number, reputation, right? Reviews everywhere. Don't say, well, I've got a Google business profile and that's where all of our stuff is and I'm great. No, that's not enough. You've got to have a broader footprint and take more of an omnichannel approach of leveraging everything that's available to you so that you have the best chance at making sure you're building that trust. So we want to make sure that we're perceived as reliable, and it's critical to understand that contradictions of any of these different things I talked about as specific examples make it being the AI play safe and pick and not pick someone else, right? So consistency across the web with every part of what that looks like, not just your website, not just Google, but your social profiles. If you have a podcast, right? All those different places that are like your digital footprint have to be consistent because that equals trust. And trust is the currency of AI. That's the gold standard. That's critical, right? So on the do side of that, then, well, what do? We want to make sure that those core facts are identical everywhere, right? Again, name, address, services list, the frequently asked questions, all the different pieces that define who your business is, where they can find you, and how you do what you do are really key. And so make sure that everything is in place, right? Obviously, your Google business profile is critical. If you have social profiles, whatever platform it is, doesn't matter. Just make sure it's consistent, and the directories as well. A lot of people don't realize that the listings that are online, when you search for either your business by name, if you want to be really laser focused, don't search for the phrase about the service or product you sell, search for your literal name. It's really interesting when you do that, because that's the best chance of seeing what is out there. How many times there's 3 different addresses listed, because these sites that are these listing sites, they basically scrape the information from someone else. If you don't specifically feed in a profile, which increasingly now these days used to be free, now you usually have to pay for it, they're going to find it from somewhere else. They're going to rank it. Well, if what they're citing from some other source is inaccurate, it starts to just spread, right? And we don't want that. So just be really aware of your own professional reputation based on knowing what is out there. And if it's not correct, I'm begging you, find someone that knows how to do this stuff and help you with it and get that stuff consistent, right? It's not that difficult. It does require some expertise and some intentional effort, but it's not hard. You just got to be aware of it. And thinking it's going to resolve itself is a mistake. It just won't. It's not going to just magically be right overnight, right? Okay.
Yeah, pay a few dollars early.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to pay one way or another, right? In an opportunity cost, lost deals, right? So let's go ahead and make the investment. I talk about investment versus cost. Make the investment for your future success now, rather than playing catch up when everybody else is just so far ahead of you that you're never going to catch them because you're just in their dust. We don't want to be in that position ever, right? Okay. So the third part of how we do this is realize the fact that structure and clarity help the machine understand you, right? We've got to know what we're talking about. This is basically a machine. It's a robot. It's code. And like a computer, garbage in, garbage out. So make sure that the very, very clear information it has to work with is in the format that it wants. And again, it's consistent. So clear questions and answers, frequently asked questions, plus structured data equals easy to read, quote, and recommend by all of these AI LLMs. They all work the same way. There's nuance to it. Some are better at some things than others. But at the end of the day, peel back the onion. It's essentially working the same way and doing the same thing. So let me talk about this. This is a technical term, schema, schema, schema. This is critical. This is invisible layers on your site telling the machine, this is our name, hours, service area, what we do, etc. And it's like labeling every box of your belongings when you move. So if you've ever moved, which I hate moving, but we probably mostly all of us at some point have moved, we say, okay, well, here's our box of toiletries. Here's a box of dishes. Here's a box of whatever, right? Towels, linens. Great. This box contains that stuff. It's no different with AI. If you're telling it, this is our page for frequently asked questions, this is our page for services, and we're coding it with schema so it knows, almost like giving it a really good map, it goes, oh, great, I was looking for that. Now I know this is where it is. And then I'm going to take that information in as part of my process when I do that synthesis process, right? And it's just making it easy so they don't have to work so hard or not know where to find what it is that they need. So that's really, really important. So in the do execution part of it, make sure you're structuring the whole site around real customer questions and have the schema in place. I think it's really easy for people, especially that are super technical, which doesn't need to mean computers. You can be technical about plumbing or HVAC or, chiropractic care, but you get so close to it that you kind of can't see the forest for the trees because you're thinking like you. Back to the dream customer. You're thinking like you. Well, I think it's really important that people know that it's not just chiropractic care. Like we got to do our stretches. We got to make sure we're properly hydrated, stuff like that. Yeah, they don't think like that. They just know I've got this pain, I've got this problem. So we have to think about what it is that they're searching for. And once they're already in our world and once they're already a paying customer, then we can bring in the education piece and super nerdy stuff. But on the front end of that relationship, they're not thinking like you. So we have to order our content, our website, our schema around how they're looking, they being humans that are future customers that haven't yet paid us money, right? How are they looking for it? What are they looking for? And put the real content they're searching for with the schema so that, again, the name of the game here is to get our businesses to grow. It's to make more money. It's to get more customers. The only way that's going to happen is if we're giving the person what they need based on what they're looking for. And this is where the schema and structured data QA, all that kind of stuff comes in, because they're going to use AI at some point. Let's make it easier for them to find that and make it easy for the AI to say, oh, I'm looking for things a certain kind of way, and this company's doing that. Yeah, that's who's going to get that no-click recommendation at the top. On Google, it says AI overview before it even has the links at this point, even before they're people paying the money for pay-per-click ads. Like, so that's really critical. And then the final part of this, the fourth piece, Steve, is realizing that your online reputation is now a ranking input. The online reviews, when they first came out, again, kind of a novelty, but because Google and these other companies are at the end of the day wanting to serve their customer, which is consumers searching for information, they've realized that your online reputation is truthful. And when people have a great experience, they're going to leave a review. When they have a negative experience, they're going to leave a terrible review. And so it's like, well, listen, the market speaks based on its experience. And so if you've got a company that's just out there lying to people and, putting out quotes and estimates, but then the invoice comes in and it's 50% or 200% of what they said, like people are going to go and tattle, right? They're going to let people know, hey, avoid this company like the plague because they took advantage of me. They lied, they cheated, they didn't follow through what they said. They were way over, if it's like, a remodeling situation, or way over the cost of what they said and all these kinds of things. And so the reputation is something I think a lot of people just, again, they think, well, if I do a good job, people will just leave reviews. I'm sorry. I don't mean to shatter anyone's illusions here necessarily, but it's not true. People are 100 times more likely to leave a negative review for a bad experience than a good one. And so being aware that this is not something you can leave to chance. You just can't do that. You have to be intentional. You have to be proactive. You have to have a system, ideally software and tools in place, that every time you complete a transaction or a job or whatever, automatically this thing fires. It kicks off a campaign for email and SMS asking for that review, making it easy for that customer to do that. So reviews plus expertise feed the trust judgment signals that these AI tools are looking for to make that recommendation. And something else that's really, really critical about this, I want to make sure people understand, in addition to what we've talked about with the questions and answers and the schema, there's another piece, and this is actually its own mini framework that speaks to content. Well, if we're hearing that AI needs this and it needs that, great. That's going to mean a lot of content. It's going to mean a lot of web pages and content and things we're putting out there. Well, how do we know what to say? This is how you know. And it's EAT, EEAT, and it stands for the 4 critical hubs of trust judgment factors that these AI tools are looking for. And so EEAT, the first E stands for experience. Have these people been doing this for any length of time? Do they have the experience, the track record to know that I'm in good hands when I give them my money? All right. The second E is for expertise. Just because you've been doing something a lot doesn't mean you're any good at it, right? Anybody can file the paperwork and pay the money to the Secretary of State to get their business entity and start, taking people's money to do stuff. But if you're not competent, you don't have the education, the credentials, the certifications, the awards, the things like that show, hey, these people are not only doing it, but they're really good at it. That expertise is huge. It really matters. All right. The third one is A, and that stands for authoritativeness, right? So authoritativeness, again, subject matter expert. And these things are very subtle and kind of faceted, and they may sound the same, but they're not. And so these things kind of work together, right? So if I have experience, been doing this for a good amount of time, I have expertise, I really know what I'm talking about, and third-party validation proves that I don't just say I know, but I really do know. And then I have authoritativeness. Well, then I am a trusted expert, right? So if you have that authoritativeness, those other things are going to have more weight because it kind of feeds itself. And then the last part of this EAT is T, and that stands for trust. Obviously, people buy from those they know, like, and trust. If you don't have trust, you're not getting any customers. Yeah, and if you break trust because your reputation used to be a 4.8 aggregate score across all the things, and in a 6-month period, because new management or whatever, that 4.8 drops to a 3.7, guess what? The trust is gone and there's no getting it back. So these things kind of work together, but they're really, really critical. So the machine is asking what a smart customer asks. Have they done this? How do they know it? Do others vouch for them? And can I trust them with my hard-earned money and my time and my resources, right? So in terms of keep earning real reviews. Don't slack off on that. Don't think that I can let up just because I've already got 67 reviews. That's plenty. No, your competitor on the same map pack at the top of Google may have 300. So we can never stop doing this just because it's just we have to realize marketing that works never stops. It just evolves and iterates, but it never stops. And we can never get complacent, because the second we do, someone else is going to be more on top of it. They're going to put us in the ground. All right. And then the last piece of this do part for number 4 here, reputation is now ranking input. We want to make sure that we're publishing content that proves genuine expertise. Right. And so this is pieces where, yes, we want to talk about our products and services, but don't just constantly try to sell. Educate people. Have a whole section on your website called a library or resources, where we're giving people information, deep, thorough information. Again, I use a lot of building metaphors and home services. That's really where we concentrate. But if you're talking about, if what you do is you specialize in this kitchen and bath remodeling, great. Write an ebook. We actually did this for one of our clients. I wrote a book. And it's basically called How to Choose the Best Hardwood for your flooring for your home. And it was like 20 pages. It had all kinds of diagrams and explaining the different hardnesses of different kind of woods, which kind of woods look best in certain areas, which are better fit in terms of the material for kitchen versus bath versus living room. How do we choose the right stain? How does stain affect what it looks like? I mean, it was really intense, good information, but it was free. And they gave it away to their clients as a value add lead magnet to say, I'm serving you by helping educate you so that you don't make a bad decision and put in a really soft hardwood in a high traffic, intense area that's going to ruin it. And you have to replace it, in a couple of years instead of having it last for 30 or 40 years because it's the right kind of hardwood. So making sure, again, we're serving customers, we're serving our target audience and delivering value way before the sale, so that's building up trust and kind of street cred, so to speak. So when they're ready, they're like, well, of course I'd buy from you because you've helped serve me in these other areas. And service is the name of the game, period. Does that make sense?
It does. We've come to the end. A lot of information here, audience. I know people want to know how to connect with you because there's much more than this. How can they do that?
best way is to go to our website. We have a lot of, I practice what I preach. So when I say give stuff away, that's because we think that works and it's a great way to do business. And so what I really like to do for people is I like to just give them an item of value right off the bat. It's a good overview of their situation. And so if you go to getreviewsandleads.com, GetReviewsAndleads.com, getreviewsandleads.com/free MA. That stands for free marketing audit, free MA. What we're going to do is we're going to basically take a look at your business and have a snapshot overview of the key areas that really will make sure you're effective, you're getting good results, the ROI is there, and also identify specific areas that need some work, right? That low-hanging fruit, that it's a little adjustment with a big impact. And so I really like to start there because that kind of informs the rest of what we do and gets me a good idea, kind of almost like a diagnostic, with a surgeon. Where do we need to go first? And then, of course, we can have that conversation about your goals and what do we want to do? What's the next 12 months need to look like? Where do you need to concentrate? But that's the best way to start.
Matt, thank you again for taking the time. An audience, share this out. If it's not for you, because you don't have a business, you work 8 to 5. I know business owners, entrepreneurs are all over the place, especially people working online, which is most people, or they should be. So share it out, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make a difference in people's lives. So with that being said, me and Matt want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.